we want to pursue. One of them we've talked about to the mayor. So let's just get started. Everyone got their brochures in their packets, hopefully, and we've got lots more, and you can find them around town at the Civic Center, at the Chamber of Commerce, at the library, at Heritage Hall. I'm forgetting somewhere else. And you reach out to us if you want some more. We are working with the Veterans Committee to do a sort of a sister brochure, same format, for Veterans Park, Veterans Memorial. And that's going to be great for the city to have both of those brochures. Don't know if there's a third one yet, but right now this is kind of covering, you know, our purview for the foundation is really here in the historic community of the city. And since Veterans Memorial is located there within, that's why we're working with them. And hopefully you'll see those by June when you get your flag bags. We have a sign-up sheet that'll go around later. Every now and then we do need volunteers to help simply do things like stuff the flag bags or deliver them down. I'll take Lake Street, I'll take, you know, Oak Street or the first 100 block of this. And that is so helpful because we try to get them to every house in the neighborhood within about 3 days. So no one's feeling like they're missing out. So there's a sign-up sheet that we'll pass around to volunteer. It doesn't take much of your time, but it sure makes a big difference for us. So May is National Preservation Month, and some of these homes might be familiar to you, or you might have some similar features on yours. So we would love all month long to highlight some of the original interior and exterior features of the homes. As these homes have changed, some homes have kept some of those original features for various reasons, or maybe even, you know, done something near that feature to sort of complement it or enhance it. And we'd love to feature that. So please let us know, and we'll be pushing that also on social media, inviting people to say, this is a feature I'd really love to highlight. I know I love the transoms above the doorways inside, and seeing the wall color or the light, you know, just beyond it. I heard of someone who's doing some home renovations discovered the original transoms during their homework and were thrilled to be able to keep that original feature in their home. It's little things like that. And I've lived here since 2013. Many of you have lived here longer than I have. But I'll drive around and I didn't even know, for example, that the lattice on some of these porches are original, that's an original feature. And it turns out when I got my 1941 photo or 40s photo of our home, it had lattice. So that's something we're thinking now. If we redo the porch to look more original, might we borrow from the lattice one again, or from something, maybe just start with the post and decide if we want to add the lattice and that sort of thing, because you know, if you're on a budget, some of these things have to be done in stages. But I love being able to look at the original ones and pull from it. So we're going to have an inventory on the website of original architectural features. How great is that, to be able to go to one place and say, oh, that's original, right? And as people are doing their home renovations, they can use that as a go-to source for inspiration. Okay, so here are some of the projects that we want to initiate, and the big umbrella is Cahaba 100. I know this is hard to read. This was just a prototype for future banners, maybe a blue one, a brighter blue. Again, the color was a little off on printing, but here's the idea. As our community reaches or approaches its 100th year, and I've talked to the mayor about this, he said he loved the idea. Cahaba 100 is kind of catchy, right? And you get it when you see Trussville's Historic District celebrating 100 years. This could be done on banners around town. You know, the entertainment district has banners. Maybe we don't put them up 14 years in advance, but you might see signs like this around the projects that we're proposing at the time, so people start to catch on, okay, yeah, we're approaching our 100 years. So that's what Cahaba 100 is about. It's really just an initiative to bring the community together, to add beauty, to add value, and to help tell the story, our history of the historic district of Trussville. And we're going to go through these four. The stone entrance oh, here are the banners. Color's just not showing up great. The stone entrance project. This is the one project that I've met with the mayor about, and we have the thumbs up. And this is something that could be done this year, and this is what we're fundraising for tonight. So, and we'll be continuing to fundraise for. So, you're all very familiar with the original entrance to the district. Yes.
not to interrupt you, but who does these, brochures?
We did. And who printed them?
Give me a hint, who we is.
Our board designed them and printed them at, went to Parcels 2, printed them locally.
Okay.
Yeah. We've got some,
They sure have been attractive, but there's no tracks on it, you don't know where it came from.
well, that's, I guess,
I don't have to know.
you know, as an artist, I sign things, and then there's certain things like this that you just, your signature doesn't belong on it because it belongs to everyone, and that's sort of the idea here. But it's all done by the board on the foundation, and between myself and Gary and Kathy Freeman, Terry Ann Cox is a new member who brought some graphic design savvy to our board. James Patterson on the board, so we've got some skills. I'm thrilled to say to accomplish things like this and not have to pay someone to do it. So we're dedicating our time in it, and as a nonprofit relying on funds, this gets me to that part of the conversation to do it, to get some of these things done. So, but they turned out great, didn't they? We're real happy with that. All right, so the stone entrance project. And I'm going to be very careful about how I say this, because we're very careful about how we think about this. This is a historic district. You don't just go in and start trying to change something rapidly and change the character of it. So we're talking about projects that are sensitive to the fact that this is a historic district. So how do we enhance it and not detract from it? So no one is suggesting we touch that original entrance. But there's none of the other entrances to our community have a sign that tell you that you've entered into a community. Into it, you just know it because you see the houses and you have a different feel to it, and you know it looks different, right? So what we're proposing, and what are the other three main entrances? So let's start with, okay. I'm gonna dive into this one a little deeper. Stone entrance project, I'll circle back around to. The Daffodil Row, this is a pretty just simple idea that I thought of while I was walking and driving down Poplar Street. Poplar Street, does anyone take that route on a regular basis, right between Rockridge and Parkway? And all along there, it's just kind of weedy and overgrown. And it's a little bit of because it's not one of those that's homes, front porches facing the street, it's just kind of that back road. But I thought about planting Daffodil Row, a row of daffodils all along Rockridge to Parkway, dedicated to the children, that's past, present, and future, of the Cahaba project. It leads to the school. It's a natural fit, and it's a border of our community that doesn't have much attention on it right now. And I know when the daffodils come up in our backyard once every year, you're getting through the winter, and you start seeing these pop up. And that's, I think of the school, I've got 3 school-age children, and I think of how every year there's that new crop of kids coming into the school year, and it's that changeover, and it's a sign of hope. These are just examples of bronze plaques that could identify as you're walking down or biking down that say that who this is dedicated to. We might bring in the schools. We have several. The historic high school has had sort of 3 iterations. It's been the elementary, the middle school, and the high school. Maybe noting the first principles, something like that tells our story as you're on foot and adds beauty to the community. Yes?
Did y'all already coordinate with the leadership class that's at the high school for their special projects?
Not yet.
Did you see that they put that out? They had 6 projects?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and that's something we need to get with sooner rather than later to see if any of these things might overlap or coordinate. Mm-hmm. We've got lots of master gardeners, some in the room and also in the community. I'm on the Arts and Sculpture Committee over at Aldridge Gardens, and I've begun to ask questions about how you might go about a project like this and receiving either the bulbs, having the bulbs donated, maybe having people pay for by the yard or by the foot, make a donation in the name of our family. This is, yeah.
Do you think that there'd be stuff that would enhance it in the winter too? Obviously, daffodils don't grow.
Yeah, I know it. So even like the wildflowers that are growing
Yeah,
there
just
now,
something
you
so
could
it
have
was-
the row, I was thinking row of daffodils next to it,
Okay.
2 months later come up
Something else,
wildflowers.
so you have stuff
Maybe
all year
even
long.
something deeper, right, that shows some beauty in the fall. Yeah, absolutely, something to think about. And that could be an ongoing, it could develop, yeah. This is one of those projects that wouldn't take long. I think it'd be worth getting involved with the PTO, talking to the school, and seeing about that. All right, another project, maybe a longer term one, a heritage garden. This is just a beautiful example of an entrance. Behind the letters here, that archway actually does read Heritage Garden. When the Cahaba project was, when it proposed, there were green spaces and parks built into the design, very intentionally for common spaces and also as skirts around the community to protect it from encroachment. So I say this because we're very sensitive to the fact that we're talking about a historic district, and I would never propose, we would, as a foundation, would never propose, here, do this garden and make it look like it was built in 1930s. That's not what this is about. It's about adding beauty, adding value, and telling our story. Victory gardens are a part of our history here and the time period that the community was built. A victory garden is something that a heritage garden might have. Trees planted for every mayor. Benches dedicated to notable citizens. Again, just telling our story so you're on foot. Like, I mean, we are so fortunate to have such a walkable community. This entrance, this is just an idea here. All right, see the green spaces? There's the green stretch behind the school and along the river. There's the mall, of course, in the center. Off to the upper left, Rock Park, which just keeps wandering, meandering. There's another, the Triangle. There's that right down the street from me on Brentwood is that Triangle Park right there. I didn't even circle the mini mall. The one by Magnolia Court is further south. Do you see the yellow spot? All right. There is a half an acre off of Chalkville Road right now that's for sale. An awkward place to build. A very awkward place to have a driveway off of Chalkville Road. But a walkable garden entrance from the sidewalk. And I've talked to at least one neighbor whose property abuts that lot about this idea. And the comment was, oh, I'd much rather see something like that than see a house built there. It's just another green space that could be maintained locally with civic group involvement. So that's an idea for a heritage garden. A house museum, a future house museum. Now, we are not the first to propose this. We've learned that the city actually owned one or two homes with the intention of doing something like this in the past, and it never came to fruition. So there's a lot to look into to see about how it would function, but the idea is simply an original Cahaba Project house where the features you could walk through and see it in its original form, maybe even furnished with period-specific furniture. This is appropriate for all age groups to go and learn about the time in our country and in Alabama when this was built. And also maybe as an event house. A house, you know, some newer neighborhoods have a clubhouse or they have another area to meet. This might serve as an event house where even the backyard or the outer area is a place you can rent. It could also, this is very key, and this was actually the first seedling of the idea, was to support, if Heritage Hall has, and residents, there are a lot of private collections of memorabilia from the project, and we don't have enough space right now to archivally protect those things. This could act as a support to Heritage Hall. These are all just ideas, so we're putting it out there. Again, maybe a longer term, but we're looking ahead 14 years, we're celebrating our centennial.
Where is Heritage Hall now?
Heritage Hall is right beside the school and the gym on Parkway. So Heritage Hall is opened at least once a month, but they share the building with ACTA Community Theater, and they work around their schedule. That may change in the future, but for now, they're limited schedule-wise by that. And they're in an old building, but it's a building that just received some funds for repair, which is a wonderful thing, because it's that building, and you can read about it in this portion. Here's the front of it. The front of it, well, this side of it at least, faces the flag in front of the school. It has served as a number of things. Probably the building in the community that has served as more functions than any other. From a library, a community center, a general store, a co-op store, a filling station. They sold furniture there for the project. They still have some furniture, original furniture from the 30s, that you can find there. If you want to talk more about Jane, who oversees the Heritage Hall right here in front, Jane, you want to raise your hand, can talk to you, and she brought some items on the back table that are really neat to look at. Okay, so I wanted to circle back to the stone entrance project. This is the one that we're beginning fundraising for, because while we have the support of the mayor and city council to do these stone entrances, sandstone, like the original sandstone entrances, we're not saying, hey, here's the idea, now pay for it. We're fundraising for it. And I think this is a great opportunity to get the community together to invest in our community. Yes?
Does it ever give you any sense of whether they would contribute in
Yes.
other words, financially, or even just do labor? Like for instance, if you pay for all materials, do they have
Yes.
staff that can?
They gave a clear indication that we would have financial support for this. But we just said to them, in good faith, we're fundraising for it too. So our goal right now is $50,000. The project altogether might cost upwards of $100,000. So here's the original entrance.
Don't you think there's probably some businesses in town that would contribute to that?
Mm-hmm. I do. So we're gonna ask corporate sponsors to donate at the maybe $1,000 level, $2,500 level, $5,000 level. Yep. Absolutely. This benefits them too, you know?
Yep.
This really benefits the city, so it's more than just the project community. Yeah. It's easy to miss this wall when you're driving through that entrance because the gazebo is what really stands out to you and the historic marker. But that wall, we've taken measurements, we've taken design elements from that wall and proposed, this is one, proposed for the location of Chalkville at the intersection of Rock Ridge and Poplar Street. That's a lot of traffic coming down that hill. And imagine seeing the signage. See the example of that's an original feature there on the left. That's the idea of what would flank the signage on either side.
And we've had commitments from the city before to build that. At least 3 different administrations have committed to building that, and they never did it.
Every time we propose something, I hear, you know, that's come up before. We're not doing anything new.
It has come up before.
Mhm.
They sat there and told us they were gonna do it.
What happened? What was the cause for it never to get pushed through?
I would say changing,
They just dragged their feet and then it never.
yeah,
But they own that property.
they own
They
the
do.
property. Every
City
piece of
owns
property she's
every
talking
one we're
about
proposing.
currently
That's a good
belongs to
point.
the city. There's no property being acquired to do this. But, you know, I can talk to you later about who said
I don't care
would.
who, I just wondered if.
But yeah, there was a direct commit, it was no ifs, ands, and buts, it's, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do it right here, and they never did.
Well, here we are again, and
Yep.
we're gonna see it through.
And I'm hoping what we can do with this group is hold people to some of these commitments, either not so much past commitments, but commitments that they make to us now. That if you make a commitment to our neighborhood that you're gonna do this, we're gonna hold your feet to the fire to do it.
Yeah.
It's just like the street signs. How many administrations committed to putting the street signs back up with the wooden placards on there?
Mhm.
Well, we got the concrete posts back on each corner by stealing them from in between where some were put, so. But they never put the wooden street signs like you go over to Mountain Brook and see. Those were all wooden street signs hanging on there before Mountain Brook had them, we had them here. And those never went back.
So it was a shingle style
Yes.
street sign.
And the replica, they were gonna redo the, lights with lights that were similar to the ones that were there originally, the brass lights.
Mhm.
And I can't tell you the number of times we've been promised that, and
Yeah.
those two things have never been done, and that would add a lot of character to the neighborhood and some place to hang your banners off of.
Right.
Or those concrete posts.
While we're on the subject of the street lamps, this has come up a few times, and I know back in at least as early as the 70s, it was talked about replacing them, and there were hiccups along the way. I've also heard it proposed maybe just around the school, bringing those either replicas of their original green lamps. Again, I'm being cautious about saying putting something where it didn't originally belong, but the idea of the heritage garden, that might be an appropriate place to have some lamp lighting, again, labeling what this is, a replica of the original street lamps that were placed at such and such, you know, for some ambient lighting, things like that. Just an idea that we're putting out there.
I think getting the original lights back up would be huge for the neighborhood. That'd be more ornamental for
Right.
public safety, but getting those original posts with the original brass
They were
sections
beautiful,
up there with the wooden shingles throughout the neighborhood, that would be tremendous to get those back up.
I've got those from over there in front of the school.
Yeah, Bob's got 3 to go to the front of the school,
The 4 of them.
4 originals.
4. I got promised somebody's gonna give me one, and I've got 3.
3 out of 4. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Come up with another one, I believe, you know, after dark.
That's the way you gotta do it sometimes. And those are originals, I mean, those
Yeah.
are the original.
So let's get back to this. This is for the proposed location, and this is the smallest one of the 3, because we're talking about the smallest lot that, again, we've got the original entrance at Parkway and Highway 11. We have the entrance from Rock Ridge coming down the hill into the community, along Chalkville and Rock Ridge. Then you have Poplar and Parkway. There's a lot of traffic going along Poplar Street, right? That triangle, that's a city-owned triangle, with crepe myrtles right now behind it. And then there's the one at the, technically you enter the Cahaba project, and there's no question about when you enter it. We have the survey, we have the map, it's all there, it's all laid out, right? That's the district boundary. At that I'm gonna call it the mini mall. If you have a better name for it or a historic name, please
One
tell
by the
me.
First Baptist Church.
Right, the one after the church at Magnolia Court.
It's Magnolia Mall.
There you go,
Yeah.
okay.
That's what it's
Magnolia
called.
Mall. Did you just make that up?
No.
That makes perfect sense. Magnolia Mall. That's when you enter the district from Cahaba. So you've got a nice stretch of land right there where you could do something real pretty. Okay, so this one, do you see the signage? I know it's hard to read there. U.S. Resettlement Administration, Cahaba Homestead Village. That is how we're listed on the National Register. And then established 1936 to 1938. You don't know that if you don't live here. Even if you live here, some people don't know that, because unless you're getting out of your car or you're walking to stop to read the historic marker, it's not that visible. Most folks are just driving down the road, and this would make you not miss it. So oh, this was built in the 30s. Oh, U.S. Resettlement Administration, what's that? Look it up. All right, so here's that first location. Here's an aerial view of North Chalkville and Rock Ridge, and this is a ground view. If you are driving up Rock Ridge, exiting the project, and you just come to Chalkville, it's hard to see, but there's this red line noting where that signage would be. This is a second design that's a little larger because the proposed location is a little larger. And this is not an either or, this is an all 3 entrance to the district, with similar features like a flag, like an American flag in the center, a spotlight on the flag, a place to put wreaths at Christmas time, a place to put banners for City Fest and things like that. Make it functional, not just attractive. So this design also borrows from this, again, if you don't stop there or you're walking there, you might not have noticed this feature, that sort of half circle, that moon shape, dip in the wall. It's really attractive. All right, so here's an aerial view of the triangle. Now orient yourself. You're on Parkway and the school's down here, and you're driving down, and you're going to continue over to, Tabby Hollow, or left to Poplar Street. So that is city-owned property, and if you can look carefully, there's a red line. Maybe that's too far forward, but that's the idea, having that signage there, that pretty major intersection, to see the boundary of what you've entered when you enter our community. Here's another feature of the original wall, and we've got proposed this design with it flanking. Now those are actually benches, flanking the signage. The center is the same in all of the designs. But this is one where you might have 3 flags, and this is that Magnolia Mall space, okay? So as you drive through, you would see it on that side. And a great place for photo ops, a great place to stop and rest, a great place, again, it's functional. Sit down for a while, not just read it as you're driving by. Display the American flag, display the Alabama flag, display another local, a flag with significant meaning.
Maybe there needs to be a Cahaba Homestead Village flag.
Maybe there ought to. I think I know some artists that could work on that.
You know, there are
There's the
hundreds of
center.
people, and there's hundreds of people that walk that square
Yeah.
a day. When I'm down there at my house on Oak Street, it's just amazing to me the number of people that I see that walk that Parkway, Poplar, Chapel Road, Mall, that's triangle, that rectangle there.
Mhm.
And, so I would encourage those be rest spots. You know,
Yeah.
the city's been putting the little water fountains up for people and their dogs.
Mhm.
And I think each one of these would be a great spot for the utilities to put in one of those for people to get a drink of water, sit on the bench and rest a little while. And get water for them and their animals.
That's great. And that's part of it. I think when you drive through this neighborhood, I can't say this about everyone, but you slow down a little bit and it encourages you to slow down because you've entered something really beautiful, really, really unique. And
Yeah,
when you're
if you
walking
If you
too.
make this about the dogs, it'd be hard for anybody to be against it. You know, we're doing this for the dogs.
It's not hard for me to fake that affection because I'm an animal lover. But yeah, no, I think that's a neat idea. So many of us do have dogs. It's such a walkable neighborhood that makes it that much more usable and thoughtful. Yeah.
I think it's important that we all remember that walkability and that neighborhood feel. The feel of this neighborhood is different than anything you get anywhere else. And the entire goal of this foundation is to preserve that neighborhood feel.
That's
That's
right.
right.
I live on Parkway, I sit on my front porch and watch people that are not from here. They drive here, park their cars and walk our neighborhood because
That's right.
they love this place and the feel that it gives them.
Mhm.
And the entire goal of our foundation is to preserve that feel.
That's right.
Ralph, I recognize, I can tell who's coming when I sit on my front porch because I recognize the dogs before I recognize them.
Yeah.
We have people yell at, when we're on the front porch on Parkway, they'll yell, and it's usually young people, what is this? And, you know, we'll say, read the sign, you know, the, at the entrance up there.
Animal brochure, yeah.
Yeah, well, I need to put some on the front porch, but that is a compliment.
It is a compliment. They know they've entered something unique. Yeah. And so these, and we're so open to feedback, y'all. This is just the proposal, and we've gotten good feedback from the mayor and the council on it. But we're being very careful about what complements what we have here already, what enhances it, what educates, adds beauty, adds value. Nothing we're suggesting here, out of the Stone Entrance Project, the House Museum idea, the Heritage Garden, Poplar Street, Daffodil Row. These are all things that hit those marks. They add value, they add beauty, and they tell our story.
There used to be daffodil rows all around the project. There was-
We had tons of daffodils in the
They used to
project.
be all the way up Rock Ridge, the garden club planted them all the way up Rock Ridge.
If you'll go down.
See, we've not
to-
done anything new, not
If
a
you'll go
single
down-
thing we propose. Every time I say something, I'm like,
If you'll go down to the
You
mall.
have great ideas, Amy.
If you go down to the mall in front of the Christmas tree and stand right there on the sidewalk. Jen and I were down there this past week where the tree commission was planting some trees. And you look, you can see the line of daffodils about this far off the sidewalk, but they're only up about this high because they're cutting them with a lawnmower. The daffodils are still there.
okay. That's the beauty of it too. They just keep coming back. They're gonna come back every year.
Well, you have
But
to
if you
coordinate
keep-
it with Public Works
Right.
because you can't just, it's a little bit more involved than.
Yes,
But the daffodils are there is what I'm trying to say.
right.
They're still there from when the garden club planted them.
Well, they've just gotten, over the year, I mean, they've been there over 50 years or more. So they're planted deep
Right.
now, so it needs to be replanted.
And Daffodil Row can turn into, a daffodil, almost what would you call it? Not a tour, but you know what I mean? There'd be different places around the city that you spot them that time of year. And it just adds to that connection, That's a project that we can visit soon, but I do wanna focus on the Stone Entrance project today. We'll take these things one at a time, because each project that we fundraise for is gonna be a little bit different in collaboration with maybe a different civic group that wants to get involved, right? So taking it one at a time, this is the one we've got a green light to go ahead on. And we are at $3,600 in fundraising. We will be approaching corporate sponsors for sure, but we're also just asking families and individuals, put in any amount that you want to contribute to it. When these come up, these sandstone entrances designed after the original one, you've got that investment in it and in your community. And hopefully this is something that, I didn't grow up in this neighborhood, but my husband did, and we're raising the third generation here, and I want my kids to come back through this neighborhood and see that, and know what part their generation added to contribute to this historic community. But come back and see some of those things that never changed. We have a PayPal account that you can donate to. We are a 501c3, so anything you donate is 100% tax deductible. You can put your phone up to the QR code. You'll see this on the website. You'll see this on social media. We've got, what else was I gonna say about that? We don't have a timeline on this, but we need to set one. So we'll do that.
What do you think you might get a firm commitment from the city as to what they might be willing to allocate towards this? I mean, they got their budget process getting ready to come up.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if they look at this as a capital project or a short-term project, but you need to start talking about to the city leaders as far as budgeting.
Will do. Oh, I'll let them know what our goal is, and we'll have a date in mind for that goal as we start pursuing corporate level sponsorships too, and see what
They got millions of dollars in
Yeah.
Rebuild America funds, the Biden administration. Those type funds can be used for something like this. I mean, they got more money right now to figure out where to spend than they've ever had.
And here, this is what was very encouraging to me. When I met with the mayor, he said that, you know, we agreed the timing is right for something like this, because the city has spent so much time focused on the new and the entertainment district. This is the time to underscore what is already so valued in the city of Trustful, because it's not just residents. You would talk about how many people come here just to walk through the neighborhood because they enjoy it so much. The park spaces, you know, not to mention the library and the pool and everything that's here. This affects everyone. This affects the broader city. It's good for the city. And the time is right. So in a year like this year, where they're working on the new city hall, they're working on the new utilities building, they are gymnastics center, that's right. There's some big things happening here.
New elementary school.
Yeah.
Potentially, right. See, people aren't thrilled about what's
That
going
figure,
on.
have you guys done estimates? Do you have any idea what it's gonna cost? I guess that stems off of Ralph's question.
We've got a turnkey quote for $120,000 from one company.
Is that
for all three?
For all three.
Which design though, or the ones you showed
All
us?
three.
The ones you showed
All
us.
three, yep. And we're waiting on, surprising how long it's taken to get 2 more quotes from 2 different companies. But we started as locally as we could, you know, to keep this in. It's not bad, no, not for 3 of them. Yeah, so that's where we are. So, spread the word, we'll be fundraising. Now, you also have a red ticket, everyone? James, can we do did you get one, Destiny? Did you get a ticket? All right, we've got some door prizes. So if you're eyeing some of the objects up here on y'all, these, you can't have my pillow. I got my pillow from the Historical Society. How beautiful is that? Love it, love it, love it, love it. Love to sit out on the front porch with me. We've got a hat. We've got these vintage cards of different locations in Trustful that just make a nice blank inside greeting card. We've got a Trustful gazebo and Gateway to Happy Living mug. So whoever gets called first, come back. Whoever gets called first can pick their door prize first, and we'll do 2 winners. All right, 216-0014.
I know.
Who ends in 1 4?
Y'all's is probably mine.
Oh, it's right there.
Here it
Yes,
is.
right.
Who ends in 1 4?
And me.
Yay!
I mean,
You
I'm
can
taking
take
another
any
bag.
one of them.
I have this Mary Poppins bag.
I know, I'm a bag lady. might not want to donate, but you can pick any of the other ones, and who ends in 10? 216-0010.
What was it?
10.
You got 10.
All right. So Bob, you can pick your prize from among these. This was my reminder, the flag bags. We will be, did everyone get one last year? Hopefully you did. If you live in the project, you got one last year. We'll be assembling those again with Flag Day to July 4th in mind. Well, the most beautiful part about that, so many people have left theirs up year round on their mailboxes. But you'll be getting another one. You can start a collection. Any funds that donate besides this is if you're donating specifically for that project, that's one thing. But if you're wondering what any donations go to in advance, it's things like printing more brochures. It's things like the materials that we buy for the flag bags. No one's getting paid for their time. We do this all with volunteers because we just love this community. But those will be coming out in June. And hopefully by then, like I said, we will have the other brochure done that we're working with the Veterans Committee on. And so by the time that the Alabama Fallen Warrior Monument opens, more than likely at the end of this year, that brochure will be available for the public, as will this one, because that's going to draw a lot of people to town.
Do you think you could come up with some type of display to put at the gazebo, to put some of
Yes.
these in? So
Yeah.
people at this gazebo can take one.
I'd love to. You can have a weatherproof kind of box. I just want to make sure it's not,
Like the real estate people use, you know?
right? You just don't want to,
Put it up a two-sided tape.
I was gonna say, nothing that would drill into the gazebo, so something that's secure, but, yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that it needs to be there.
Two-sided gorilla tape.
Say again?
Well, we'll check with the historic board and see if that's okay. All right, any other items? There's a sheet. If you don't already receive emails from the foundation, but you wanna have those reminders if you wanna be updated with the fundraising, if you wanna be updated, about an upcoming meeting, if you're not always, on Facebook or Instagram. We have a sign-up sheet. There's also a column for volunteer. So if you're interested in just being on a volunteer list, that every now and then we go out and say, we need someone to deliver on Oak Street. We need someone to deliver on Lake. You just respond if you can do it. So it's really helpful to have those. We've had kids on their bikes delivering it. We've had radio flyers out there. It's a team effort for sure. But I've heard from so many neighbors who appreciate receiving that, even if they don't see that, the kid or the person delivering it to their door. It's, I don't know, it's like Christmas morning, you wake up and you find the bag and you see, we love doing it. We're like busy little elves the week before those go out. And we could always use help. And with these projects coming up, we'll have more opportunities to volunteer. I'd like to see positions where, I know in high school, oftentimes people are thinking of community service and getting credit for that, or maybe internships, so we can look at all those possibilities so people don't have to go far to be involved in civic volunteer work. And not that you do it for the credit, but it can certainly be helpful and you get great experience doing that. So
I think the civic clubs will contribute to this. We got the Civic Dam Park, we got the Lions Park, those
The Lions
clubs have always
Clubs, that's
been
right.
headquartered here. I think they would be willing to invest in the history of the community. We've always sponsored them.
So maybe what we'll do is just get with the Chamber of Commerce and get, either get the word out by email, but I'd love to get people in the room and show them what the plan is. Yeah. Any other suggestions like that we need? This is still very new territory for me. I just kind of jumped in because we love what we have here.
Don't forget the utility board, they write big checks.
We write big checks to them too. Not that big though. We're very fortunate.
This isn't a big check to the utility board.
Write that down.
This is pocket change.
They've got sizable capital reserves.
This is just raised from a handful of neighbors so far. We're gonna reach 50,000 before long. We have not even tapped into any of our local businesses that are so wonderful and so dedicated to trustful and know the value in having areas of your city that cannot be replicated, like the project. Other cities can build new neighborhoods, other cities can build entertainment districts, other cities can do things like that. They can't just up and make the patina, the authenticity that comes with a historic district like this, and not just a historic district, but one that is one of 8 in Alabama, and really the only one that's this historically intact on the national level in Alabama. It's huge. We're working on really driving that home. Do you know how unique we are among the nation? 1 in 100, 1 in 8 in Alabama, 1 in 4 in Jefferson County, and one like none of the other ones, because we weren't built like the farming communities. We were built like a modern suburban garden cottage village that was like no other. That's why it was the envy of everyone around, and it still exists today because they did it so dang well, so thoughtfully from the start.
This is the only one you'll find with a lifetime roof on the houses. Now, you go around to different towns, and the still houses, they're all floors or something like that, will be that aluminum roof, but I remember, I think it was in '88, the roof got bad, shaped up to convention center, and, there was a group of folks got up some money and redid it, and got aluminum roof on it, but this one's been here, on the houses. You go anywhere else around and look, you won't find it on the houses, they're gonna be asphalt.
And they're not aluminum, right? I mean, they're made of
Galvanized
steel.
Yeah.
Birmingham, it made sense. They were building with materials that were locally available, the best of what was
I don't know
locally
where
available.
the shingles originally came from. I know the flooring came out of South Alabama.
The heart pine flooring came out of South Alabama?
Yeah, the company may still exist in South Alabama.
I went down there and saw it.
Well, I've been down there and seen the place. I don't know where the shingles came from. I know the siding came from California, the redwood siding.
I don't know how many people, that's something we'll feature, the original siding, because you either had brick, or you had shingle, or you had siding. 3, right? And I don't know that people knew that that was sent from California. That's redwood siding, if you've got original siding on your home. Because they were like, get this project done. So they brought it in from California.
They spared
by
no expense.
1938.
They were showing off.
They were showing off, yeah.
That was the direction that was given to the superintendent, was spare no expense in building this project.
And that was during the Depression. I mean, this is, there was no economy of labor, right? That's the phrase. People
That's what it was about.
they took their time, yeah. That's why these houses are built like tanks.
They are.
All right, any questions about the projects? Anyone you want to revisit? Knowing that right now we're focusing on this one because this is something we know we've got the green light to achieve this year. But I do need to get an actual commitment and dollar amount from the city. And we need those 2 other quotes would be helpful because right now we're just going by that one estimate, but it helps us know the ballpark for this. I think we are. Thank y'all so much for coming out tonight.
Thank you.